Have you ever wondered how the stars came to be in the sky? Well, this story is the way that the Navajo people, who are Native Americans who live in the western deserts of our land, explained the stars to their children. It's called How the Stars Fell into the Sky. When the pulse of the first day brought it to the edge of night, First Woman said to First Man, "We must write the laws so that the people will know exactly how to behave." "Yes," said First Man, and he stepped away to begin his work. "But wait," said First Woman, "where shall I write the laws?" "Well," said First Man, "write them in the sand." "But the wind will blow them away," said First Woman. "Then write them in the water," said First Man, and he stepped away again. He was busy. "Well, if I write the laws in the water," said First Woman, "the first words will be gone before I can finish." Now, First Man had many things to do. He turned back to speak to First Woman and saw her kneeling there on her gray and white blanket, beside her pile of jewels. He said, "Write the laws with your jewels in the night sky." "Yes," said First Woman, "I will do that." Now, First Man went away, and First Woman began her work. She picked up a jewel from the top of her pile. She held it in her hand. She felt the weight of it, and she looked up into the blackberry cloth of night and thought about just the right place to put it. And then she reached up and zing! She put it there. She smiled to see how it sparkled. Now she took another jewel. She saw how it colored her hand a warm red. She looked up and saw where that first star sparkled golden behind the black cloth of the sky. She thought, "Where shall I put this next one? It must be right." So now she reached out and ding, placed that second star. She reached down and picked up another jewel. Now there were two shining brightly in front of her. This one glowed green in her hand. She looked again and considered where the two sparkled, and then reached out, ding, and placed the next one. Slowly and carefully she worked, all alone. But she was not alone. Coyote watched from behind a nearby bush. He was curious. He trotted out to speak with First Woman. "What are you doing?" "I am writing the laws," said First Woman, "so that all the people will know how to live their lives." "Oh, yes," said Coyote. "May I help?" "Yes, of course," said First Woman, and she picked up a jewel and handed it to Coyote, who took it and quickly placed it in the sky. Now First Woman took another jewel. Slowly she looked at what she had placed before, and now she reached up and ding, placed that next blue jewel there in the darkness. Coyote picked up two of her jewels and placed them quickly in the sky. First Woman was still looking at how the gold and red and green and blue sparkled there in the darkness. Meanwhile, Coyote picked up two more jewels and two more and two more. while First Woman was picking up one more jewel, feeling it warm in her hand and reaching out, ding, to place it just right. "This is slow work," said Coyote. "Is there not a way to speed it up?" "No," said First Woman. "I would not want to go too fast. This is important work. This may be the most important thing I ever do with my life." Far away in the desert, a lonely hunter will look up and see how he must be brave and strong in the darkness. A young mother coming out of her hogan, holding her new child in her arms, will look up and know how to raise that child. "This is very important work," said First Woman. "I do not want to do it quickly." And she bent down and picked up another jewel. She stepped away from the pile to reach high up and ding, place it in the sky. Now Coyote was impatient. He loved best to see a thing finished. And so as First Woman turned away, he picked up the corners of her blanket and flung the blanket out into the sky, scattering all the jewels at once. First Woman turned back and saw what had happened. "Foolish animal," she cried. "What have you done?" And she put her face in her hands and began to cry. Coyote was ashamed. He slunk away. As the pulse of the second day brought it into being, the people came out of their hogans to greet the day. As the sun came up, they began their lives again. It would not be until that night that they would see the beautiful confusion that Coyote had created. And that is the story of how the stars fell into the sky.